Hello and welcome to the Pima Edge Group informational series video. In this video, we intend to offer viewers a way of thinking about and advancing the cause of diversity, equity, and inclusion at the college. We acknowledge that we created this video in the context of our collective identities and experience. As a result, we accept that the message may be flawed, biased, and incomplete, and encourage you to provide critiques and suggestions that we can consider for our next revision. That way we can continually make it more helpful in offering viewers ways of thinking about and advancing the cause of diversity, equity, and inclusion at the college.
As the Pima College Board policy says, Pima Community College values its diverse student and employee populations and is committed to providing and supporting programs, services, and training that will enable all students and employees to achieve their educational and career objectives.
Advancing the idea of diversity, equity, and inclusion is complex and multifaceted. It's not so much a destination, but a journey of exploration, self-reflection, and engagement that starts with a commitment to begin expanding, understanding, deepening appreciation, nurturing curiosity, and valuing the multitude of complex, intersecting identities and life experiences of the people around us.
A traveler on this journey can expect that at times the path may have unexpected twists and turns, feel blocked off, damaged, or stormy and impassable. But the idea is not to be afraid of the journey, but to just get started, all of us together.
So, how do we get started? There are many ways to begin and guide our journey, but one of the ways discussed here in this video is critically look at how our attitudes, actions, spaces, and policies and procedures contribute to or hinder the advancement of diversity, equity, and inclusion here at the college.
History is littered with examples of where people have held attitudes, taken actions, created spaces, and implemented and enforced policies that have made progress on the journey to diversity, equity, and inclusion difficult and painful. And this history has inflicted trauma that haunts us today.
At the same time, people have held attitudes, taken actions, created spaces, and implemented and enforced policies that advance the cause of diversity, equity, and inclusion and make the path forward more full of promise and possibility.
So we want to be continually examining our attitudes, actions, spaces, and policies that we have at the college in order to explore how they may contribute to students, faculty, staff, or community members feeling excluded, that they do not belong, or that they will not get a fair chance at the opportunities provided. Identities and life experiences may be related to race, ethnicity, gender, religion, spirituality, age, national origin, disability, LGBTQIA+ identity, veteran identity, working student, having educational disadvantage, cultural background, housing status, belief system, immigrant identity, refugee identity, your first language, a caretaker, single parents, first-generation college student.
And of course, people can have compound and intersecting identities and life experiences as well.
First, a quick word about privilege and oppression. Privilege is an unearned advantage conferred on an individual by the people who create and maintain the attitudes, actions, spaces, and policies of a given environment. Likewise, oppression is an unearned disadvantage conferred on an individual by people who create and maintain the attitudes, actions, spaces, and policies. Because privilege and oppression are created and maintained by people, they can be dismantled by people. For an individual, the relative balance of privilege and oppression can change from situation to situation, group to group, space to space, time to time. Everyone can experience different mixes and degrees of privilege and oppression as they move from environment to environment. Let's explore this a little more. First, think about a time when you entered a group of people or space and suddenly you felt like you didn't belong. Do you remember what made you feel that way? Was it the attitudes of the people around you? Was it what people said or did? Was it the physical space itself? Was it the policies associated with the place? Likewise, when you were there, was there something someone said or did that turned it around for you? What was it?
So let's think about the different ways we can categorize our attitudes towards identities and life experiences that are different than our own. Do you think your attitude could be categorized as allowing and tolerating these differences? Or is it more like expecting and welcoming these differences? Or is it recruiting and including these differences? Most likely, your categorized differences, identities, and experiences consciously and subconsciously in different ways. For ones that you allow and tolerate, what would you need to do to move your attitudes towards expecting and welcoming, or even recruiting and including? For those identities that you recruit and include, try to identify why this is your attitude towards this identity.
Next, let's look at the actions we take and how we might classify and adjust them as we think about creating an inclusive and equitable environment for people with diverse identities and life experiences. Do you think your actions could be categorized as focusing on understanding each individual's identity and experiences, and then helping them change and learn ways to adapt to the attitudes, actions, spaces, and policies around them at the college? Or focusing on understanding each individual's identity and experiences, and then working on changing the attitudes, actions, spaces, and policies at the college so individuals feel more included? Or do you think you focus on recruiting diverse opinions and then adjusting the attitudes, actions, spaces, and policies at the college through ongoing dialogue with and active participation of the individuals who might feel excluded? Which model of action do you think would be most efficient? Which do you think would be the most effective? Which do you think aligns best with the idea of sustainable continuous improvement and community engagement?
Next, let's look at analyzing different spaces for equity and inclusion. Spaces can be looked at as reflecting attitudes, values, and defining actions. What aspects of this space communicate institutional power and control? What aspects of this space define and allow individual methods of exploration, communication, and exchange of ideas? What aspects of this space allow participants to define communication, exploration, and participation? What messages do each of these spaces send regarding equity and inclusion?
Finally, what do the policies, process, and procedures of your department, classroom, and institution say about equity and inclusion? Are they rigid and prescriptive, imposing order? Are they flexible and responsive, allowing adjustment to the needs of changing conditions and people? Or are they open and invite participation, encouraging autonomy, creativity, and collaboration?
There are many departments and resources here at the college to help you with questions and support you on your journey and exploration. Please reach out to these groups anytime. And thanks for your interest in advancing equity and inclusion here at the college. Thanks for watching, and let's get started.